How you guys doing out there? Today's upload is actually about the 871 Cummins worn wedge issue. I haven't found a whole lot of information out there about it, and that's basically why I wanted to put this video out. A while back, I had some problems with an engine. The oil pressure was like real low, and it had power, but it didn't seem like it had like the full potential power. And I ended up talking to a Cummins guy, or a Cummins representative, I guess, and kind of told him some of the symptoms I was having. And he said, "It sounds like you got one of the worn wedge engines." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Well, from them building, thousands and thousands of engines and not changing their wedges often enough when they were putting the new engines in time, there were a lot of engines that were produced in the 871 era that were actually produced and built from the factory a little bit out of time. Not much. Basically, I don't know what it actually comes down to as far as degrees or anything, or even teeth. They don't actually tell you. I mean, basically, they're fixed for it. On your injector cam on the 871, normally you use a number 4 wedge. Well, their fix for it is you use a 4 1/4, which don't really make sense to me. Because if their wedges were worn when they built the engine, why wouldn't you just use a number 4 wedge and retime the engine? But you know what I mean? Like, if your wedge was wore out from you putting it in 10,000 engines, and you give me the engine out of time, you're going to tell me to use a different wedge set to time the engine, when in all reality, I technically should use the right wedge because mine's not worn. So what they do is they sold me a special set of wedges, and I used a 4 1/4 on the injector side, on the injector cam, and retimed the engine. And honestly, I'm not going to say that the engine doesn't run well. I mean, it does have power, but it's like, it's not enough to make a big fuss about. Like I said, what it actually comes down to is, I think, less than even one tooth of timing on the injector cam. Like, it's a tiny little difference if you put the two wedges next to each other. So I would kind of like to know you guys' thoughts on this. Anybody that actually knows about it. And, like I said, it kind of makes sense if you say, okay, we built these engines to where they should have been timed with this wedge. Here's your wedge to go time your engine. But instead, they say our wedges were wore out. So the fix is, here's a little bit thicker wedge, put that baby in there and retime it. But, I mean, all the other Cummins engines, work with the same wedges. I mean, I don't know. If I do an ISX 15, I use a certain wedge. Are you gonna tell me down the road that, oh, the ISX 15s, the wedges were wore out, so here, you got to use a different one now? That makes absolutely no sense. I built a dozen of them, and I'm sure the 871s, when they came out, people were building them with no issues with the wedges that they had. So I don't really get where 12 years after these engines, about 10 years after these engines come out, they're going to say, you got to change the timing. Makes no sense at all. But to anybody who knows about it out there, I want to know what you think. Like I said, research on it is very limited. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I just haven't got a chance to. I've been super busy. I actually switched shops again. It's the second shop I've went to since I left the oil field, but I'm trying to stay at this one. I like it. But anyways, yeah, give me input on it. Anybody that knows, if you have any questions about the information I have, that's really about it. They just pretty much, you buy a different set of timing wedges, and what it is it's like a half wedge. You get like a 4 1/4, 4 1/2 down. There was 3 different wedges or something they gave me, and I don't have them with me to actually know. They're at work, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. All right, have a good one.